Hello, everyone. I'm Madeline Milka, President and CEO of the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, APAICS, and welcome to our 2021 Gala pre-show. Tonight's pre-show is not only a celebration of the art and culture of our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, it's a celebration of the diversity of our combined community. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items. Immediately after the pre-show, there will be a short interlude prior to the gala. You don't have to go anywhere. The gala will start right here. No need to go to another link or click another button. Throughout this program and the gala program, APAICS' silent auction is live and available for all of you to bid on some terrific items. Don't miss your opportunity to pick up a new laptop or your next vacation stay by going to events.handbid.com or downloading the Handbid app and searching for 2021 APAICS. Now let's start the show.
Kaikatsu, which means lively, was written by Shinichiro Nagata. It is a powerful, upbeat piece which requires great physical exertion and stamina from the players. Please enjoy this lively piece titled Kaikatsu.
When are we gon' change? We got families marching in these streets, loved ones are dying because of all the damn heart-wrenching inequity. What am I gon' do to convince you that I'm standing in solidarity, fighting this white system with you? We're no different, we're the same. No, we're not friends, and I may not know your name, but we gon' make a home, home, home for everyone. No, we're gon' make a home, home, home for everyone. We gon' need some love, yeah. In this sad war that we still haven't won. We ain't bulletproof, yeah, but you got me and I got you. We gon' need some trust in all of us, that I'm standing in solidarity, fighting this white system with you. We're no different, we're the same. No, we're not friends, and I may not know your name, but we gon' make a home, home, home for everyone. No, we're gon' make a home, home, home for everyone.
Mabuhay and hello everyone. My name is Sherry Solis and I am the current president of the Filipino Student Association at Florida State University. On behalf of our folk dance team Induc, where we emphasize the importance of learning the history of our folk dances before showcasing them, I'm here to introduce Tinikling. Considered as one of the oldest Filipino folk dances, Tinikling originated in the islands of Leyte, which is located in the Visayas region of the Philippines. It translates to bamboo dance in English and imitates the movement of tickling birds. The people of Leyte describe the tickling bird as one of the most unique in its movements, as they walk between grass stems, run over tree branches, or dodge between bamboo traps set by rice farmers. Dancers imitate the tickling bird's legendary grace and movement and speed by skillfully maneuvering between two large bamboo poles. Known as the most popular and best known of the Philippine dances and considered as the Philippine national dance, I present to you all Tinikling.
Thank you to all the amazing performers in our gala pre-show. Weren't they incredible? Before we start the gala, I would like to recognize the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, otherwise known as CAPAC, and the Asian American Pacific Islander members of Congress. CAPAC works tirelessly to ensure all our communities are heard in Congress. Their advocacy has delivered on key legislation, such as the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which provides resources to stem the tide of anti-Asian hate. As we begin the program, let's highlight this year's CAPAC and Asian American Pacific Islander members, the largest class of AAPI congressional members elected to Congress in its history.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, and I represent Florida's 7th District in Orlando.
I'm Congressman Ted Lieu.
Hello, I'm Congressmember Judy Chu from Pasadena, California.
Hi, I'm Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Ami Bera.
Hello, I'm Congressman Mark Takano, proudly serving California's 41st Congressional District.
Aloha, I'm Congressman Kai Ali'i Kahele from Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District.
I'm Senator Duckworth from the state of Illinois.
I'm Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland.
I'm your Congressman Al Green from the 9th Congressional District of Texas.
Hi everyone, I'm Congressman Andy Kim from the New Jersey 3rd Congressional District.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from Queens, New York.
Hi, I'm Congressman Jimmy Gomez from California's 34th Congressional District. Welcome.
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 And I want to welcome you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome to APAICS 2021
Virtual Gala.
Hi, I'm Madeleine Milka, President and CEO of the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. otherwise known as APAICS. Welcome to our virtual gala. Much has happened in and around the Asian American and Pacific Islander community in the past year, let alone the past few months. Since we last gathered virtually, we've seen great challenges and even more amazing accomplishments. That's why our theme this year is Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders Rising to the Challenge. We want to recognize the adversity our community has faced in the forms of a pandemic that has hit our Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community members particularly hard, a racial reckoning that has targeted the Asian American community, as well as other communities for different yet coalescing reasons, and continued challenges against our community's right to exercise our vote. We also want to highlight the work AA and NHPIs have been doing to rise above these challenges, from serving on the front lines of this global pandemic to combating racial inequity for all communities, and finally, by making our voices heard at the ballot box. Our community has proven time and time again that we will continue to meet any challenge and grow stronger from the adversity. And we want to also take a moment to recognize the lives lost and affected by these challenges and reflect on the loss our community has suffered. That's why this year's gala will be a little different. Besides being virtual, we will be focusing our attention on 3 different focus areas: the power of the community when we vote, the fight against racial inequity and hate crimes, and the struggle our community faces because of the pandemic. I welcome you to look to the future and the opportunities. We continue to grow our community's representation and voices in these critical areas of our lives by continuing the work of raising AA and NHPI voices in government institutions across the country, from local office to the federal government, by advocating for greater representation and training the next generation of leaders for our community. Visit www.apaics.org to learn more about our efforts, and if you can, contribute to our cause. If you want to have a little fun with your contribution, check out our silent auction running during this event by going to events.handbid.com or by downloading the Handbid app and search for 2021 APAICS to see some terrific items you can purchase. All contributions will benefit APAICS's mission to increase AAPI representation at all levels of the political process. Again, I want to thank you for joining the 2021 APAICS Virtual Gala. I'd like to thank this year's honorary co-chairs, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and Congressman Mark Takano. To kick us off, I want to introduce our military color guard and a performance of our national anthem by renowned artist Jake Shimabukuro, followed by a Hawaiian blessing. Enjoy the evening.
Colors, ready, set, on! Colors, right shoulder, arm. Colors turn, arm.
Ele kahiki ku, ele kahiki moi, ele ke apapa nui, ele ke apapa lani. Ala mai na po e mala mai ka lehu apuni ka honu ai. E na kua o ka kone maliu mai e no mai e ko kua mai. O mako e hanai galai muai. E na po e vivo ole, e na po e kako. Holo mua holo e a ola e holu mai lai. E ia no ko ule ko ule o e mai. E ia ko leo aloha, 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 aloha mai kako e.
Thank you to the U.S. Department of Defense for their service, Jake for a moving performance, and Mahana O'Callaghan from the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement for blessing this evening's event. It's now my pleasure to introduce APAICS Board Chair Susan Jin Davis.
Welcome to the virtual gala of APAICS, an organization that is empowering our community to be more civically and politically activated. This year's theme, APIs Rising to the Challenge, is particularly fitting because we have truly risen to the challenge in a most difficult year, where we faced a worldwide pandemic that decimated our economy, businesses, and communities, and where we have experienced great loss of life, where we joined our brothers and sisters in allyship and support of Black Lives Matter and social justice and equality, where we got out the vote like we have never done before, where we have increased our political presence in local, state, and federal offices, and now in how we are fighting against the rising tide of violence and hate crimes against our community. Resilience, grit, strength. This is our AAPI community. This is what we do, and we will not be stopped. Today, we celebrate some of our heroes. For the Civic Engagement Award, Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta, we thank you for your fight for justice coming out of the horrific deaths and destruction that our community in Atlanta endured. For the Community Award, we thank the Philippine Nurses Association of America for being in the line of fire on the front lines in the fight against COVID-19. For the Norman Y. Mineta Lifetime Achievement Award, we thank you, Dale Minami, for your tireless work in civil and human rights. Congratulations to our honorees, and let me express my deepest appreciation to KPAC, our gala chairs, APAICS, my board colleagues, our sponsors, and to all of you who continue to do incredible work for our community. Continue to do what is right. Our work is not done. Thank you and enjoy the night.
I now want to highlight APAICS' signature programs, our fellowship and internship programs for those interested in public service and learning about the legislative process. These initiatives, hosted within the offices of members of Congress, are critical to providing younger members of our community opportunities to learn from and engage with elected officials and their staff, building relationships, and learning the legislative process in a way that will support their aspirations for years to come. I'd like to recognize the current class of fellows, as well as our alumni honorees who continue to be tremendous advocates for our community.
Good evening, APAICS. My name is Markham Erickson, and I'm Vice President for the Centers of Excellence at Google. To your founder, Norma Netta, Chair Susan Davis, Executive Director Madeline Milkey, to all of the members of the staff and the board, and to each of you joining us online tonight, greetings. I'm honored to join you this evening on behalf of Google, our company's leadership, and our over 100,000 employees around the globe. The Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies is a vitally important organization. We value our longstanding partnership, which exceeds 9 years now, and the opportunity to support your policy pipeline programs that ensure that our government reflects the diversity of our nation, especially at a time when there are so many challenging issues facing our community. Throughout Asian Pacific American Heritage Month this year, Google is reaffirming our commitment to standing with our Asian and Pacific Island communities in the fight against hate, while also honoring the richness of all our different Asian cultures. We're extremely proud to grow our support for the organizations on the front lines fighting for safety, dignity, and equity for the AAPI community, including APAICS, pledging more than $10 million in funding to support this necessary and vital work. And Google Arts and Culture launched a beautiful new hub dedicated to Asian and Pacific American experiences this month, alongside nearly 30 partners, which we hope you will take a chance to visit. We're extremely grateful for the partnership of the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, and I look forward to our continued work together. Have a wonderful night, and thanks for letting Google be part of it.
Unprecedented. It's a word we've heard often to describe the times we are in. And while it is used mostly to describe the challenges we face, unprecedented can also be used to describe the historic levels of AAPI civic engagement and representation we are witnessing. Today, more than ever, we see Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders engaged as voters and members of our government like never before.
Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are now the fastest growing racial group in the United States. We've doubled our voter registration numbers over the last decade from 2 to 4 million people. And by 2040, we will have doubled even those numbers.
From the grassroots to the highest levels of government, our voices have never been louder, and our collective commitment to ensuring America lives up to its highest ideals has never been greater. We are in unprecedented times, with some of the greatest challenges we have faced as a community and country. But what is also unprecedented is the unity and strength of the AAPI voice at all levels of government. A moment that is truly unprecedented.
Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta has worked for over a decade to promote equity and justice for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities in Georgia and throughout the Southeast. As part of the Asian Americans Advancing Justice Network, they fight to ensure the rights of our communities are protected. Their innovative and pivotal work with the census, voter outreach, and immigrant rights received national attention. Additionally, their work fighting for economic justice and access to education empowers all Asian Americans, creating a more just and fair society for all. APAICS is proud to present Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta with the Civic Engagement Award.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Carolyn Bourdeaux, representing Georgia's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Thank you, Madeline, and the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies for inviting me to speak, especially as we prepare to celebrate the start of AAPI Heritage Month this week. Tonight I'm here to present Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta with APAICS Civic Engagement Award. Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta is the first and only nonprofit legal advocacy organization dedicated to protecting members of the AAPI communities in Georgia and the Southeast. As Georgia has continued to try to suppress the ability to vote, something that hurts AAPI communities particularly hard, Asian Americans Advancing Justice has mobilized to push back. Additionally, the organization has been a prominent voice against anti-Asian hate, especially in the wake of the shootings in the Atlanta area. Their leadership has been critical and more necessary now than ever. Please join me in congratulating Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta.
Thank you, Representative Bourdeaux, for introing us. My name is Stephanie Cho. I'm the Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta. Thank you, Madeline, for this beautiful, beautiful award. We really appreciate it here in Georgia. We've been working hard trying to uplift and grow the electorate here in Georgia and the larger Southeast within the Asian American community, work in coalition with Black and Latinx groups, and to really build that intersection between voting rights and immigrant rights here. We are excited about this year. It's going to be a big year, and next year is also going to be a big year as well. We wish we could see you in person and hug and actually be there together, but maybe next year. And if you ever want to visit us in Georgia, please come and visit us. You always have a home here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Congratulations to Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta on their award. Thank you for your work in making sure AA and NHPI voices across Georgia and the Southeast are heard. Your work is a true inspiration and helps ensure our communities are seen. Next, it's my privilege to introduce the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you, Madeline, for your kind words. As House Speaker, it is an honor to convey the greetings of the U.S. Congress to APAICS on your 27th Awards Gala. Thank you to our Gala co-chairs, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and Congressman Mark Takano, Chairman of the Veteran Affairs Committee. And let us all salute KPAC Chair Judy Chu, the first Chinese-American woman elected to Congress and a powerful voice for progress in our country. Tonight we celebrate nearly 3 formative decades of the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. Together with KPAC, of which I was proud to be a founding member, APAICS has helped change the face of our representation and the future of our nation. Because of your leadership, more AAPI leaders than ever are organizing and mobilizing, running and winning, and now serving and leading at every level. It gives me pride to serve with the largest class of AAPI members in House history. The AAPI community can take pride in having such a strong voice in Congress, particularly as they lead the charge to protect the lives, livelihood, and well-being of our AAPI community during this difficult time. Led by our AAPI members, Congress is taking action, including passing Congresswoman Grace Meng's COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which together with President Biden's executive actions will strengthen our nation's defenses against the recent surging crisis of anti-AAPI violence. That is why I am thrilled this evening to join APAICS in honoring heroes who are rising to the challenge, Let us salute Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Atlanta, powering record turnouts of AAPI voters at the ballot box and standing strong against bigotry in the wake of the horrific shootings in Atlanta. Dale Manami, a fearless and historic advocate for the API community, who helped reverse the profound injustice of the Korematsu ruling. And the Filipino Nurses Association of America, whose heroic frontline workers have saved countless lives during this pandemic while suffering a grave and disproportionate human toll. This AAPI Heritage Month, as we celebrate the blessings that the AAPI community has bestowed on our nation, let us commit to advancing a future of justice, opportunity, and hope for all in our nation. Thank you for the honor of addressing you this evening and to recognizing our awardees and their work to build a better, stronger America.
Good evening. My name is Glenda Beach, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as an APAICS board member on behalf of State Farm. State Farm has long been committed to helping build safer and stronger communities. For over 20 years, we've partnered with APAICS in its efforts to build an empowered Asian American Pacific Islander community. State Farm, with the collaboration of APAICS, continues to provide training with the Leadership Academy, which helps AAPI elected officials excel in their current office and prepare to advance into higher office. I am thankful for the many organizations and community partners like APAICS who are steadfast in their commitment in protecting and supporting our AAPI community. Special thanks to President and CEO Madeline Milkey and the rest of her team for making this event possible, to honor leaders and recognize organizations for their contributions to the AAPI community. On behalf of State Farm, congratulations to all the awardees for your dedication and lifelong service. Thank you again for the invitation to be a part of this special event.
Hey you guys, it's Kiana V, and I just want to take this moment to say how proud I am of all my friends and my family and people in my community who have just continued searching for the silver lining in all of this. Because of you guys, we're able to keep going. We're able to feel encouraged and to look forward to better days. So for that, I am thankful. Hope everyone's staying safe.
I got all these thoughts in my head, I cannot control them. The voices tell me I'm not ready for them. I got thoughts creeping in like, am I meant for this? But I know deep in my soul I was born for this. What am I doing? Who am I fooling? Afraid I'll fly too high, but only dreaming of the sky. Oh, what am I doing? Who am I fooling? Afraid you'll pass me by, can't control my mind. No, do this, do that, do what they want, it's not so bad. Go watch me to control that. Be grateful they gave you what you had. It's not bad, no, it's not bad at all. You got all you wanted more, but how much you sell your soul for? Sing me, do you? Sing me, do you? Sing me, do you? Do you see me? Do you see me? Feel like I'm the only one here. Do you see me? Do you see me? Make my mark before I disappear. Don't wanna do this thing half-hearted, overlooked and disregarded. In the shadows where I started, but they don't want you about that. What am I doing? Who am I fooling? Afraid I'll fly too high, but only dreaming of the sky. Oh, what am I doing? Who am I fooling? Afraid you'll pass me by, can't control my mind. No, do this, do that, do what they want, it's not so bad. Go watch me once they control that. Be grateful they gave all you have. It's not bad, no, it's not bad at all. You got all you want and more, but how much you sell your soul for? Sing me, do ya? disappear. See me, do what they want, it's not so bad. Go watch your words, they control that. Be grateful they gave you all you have. It's not bad at all. No, no, no. Do you see me?
Hello, I'm Sasan Godarzi, CEO of Intuit. From all of us at Intuit, congratulations to all of tonight's honorees. It's an honor to be part of this event where we celebrate the many contributions and achievements of Asian American and Pacific Islanders in the United States. Your work is an inspiration to all of us. At Intuit, we're proud to serve over 100 million customers around the world with TurboTax, QuickBooks, Mint, and our Credit Karma platform. Our mission is to power prosperity around the world. And one of our foundational beliefs is that we all prosper when we champion diversity, inclusion, and a respectable society. Diversity is a fact, but inclusion is a choice, and we are committed to helping build a more inclusive and equitable world. Sadly, recent events have shown us how much more work we still have to do to achieve this goal. The harassment and senseless violent acts towards Asian American and Pacific Islanders are unacceptable and horrific. At Intuit, we stand against racism and violence of any kind and are committed to supporting our employees, our customers, and the Asian American and Pacific Islanders community as a whole. For me, this issue is personal. I came to the United States as a child from Iran. I know firsthand what it's like to arrive in this country in pursuit of a better life and then face the sting of being treated as if you don't belong here. Many of you are also immigrants or from a family of immigrants, and the truth is, we're stronger for it, as is this entire country. Immigration is fundamental to the history and success of the United States. That's why Intuit is committed to doing our part to build an equitable immigration system that works for families, communities, and grows the economy. We also recognize that none of this can move the needle on equity alone. That work requires extensive partnerships. We look forward to continuing to work with organizations like APAICS and with so many of you that are part of this important work. I want to thank the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies, members of Congress, and the administration, and all of the participants tonight for the work that you are doing to lift up and give a voice to your communities. Because together we can rise to the challenge and build a better, more inclusive world. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the event.
Hello and happy Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. As chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, I'm so thrilled to be joining APAICS for your 27th Annual Awards Gala. And I especially want to thank your gala co-chairs, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and Congressman Mark Takano, and your president and CEO, Madeline Milka, as well as all the APAICS board members, staff, and sponsors who've made tonight's event possible. This is the premier gathering of AAPI leaders from all across the nation and a true celebration of our community. Despite the pandemic, I'm so grateful that APAICS found a way for us to still come together to hear from President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, Secretary Mineta, and CAPEC members as we honor the incredible AAPI leaders who are being awarded tonight. The unity in the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community has never been more important than it is today. In March, our nation was shocked and horrified by the murder of 8 people in Georgia, including 6 Asian women. In response, I organized a congressional delegation to Atlanta to meet with the victims' families as well as the local AAPI community. And we went there with a purpose: to follow the murderer's steps, to show how deliberate he was in targeting 3 Asian-owned businesses. Starting at the site of the first shooting, we then drove 27 miles until we arrived at 2 more Asian spas where he continued his murderous spree. Local sheriffs have tried to diminish these crimes by saying the shooter had a sex addiction and a bad day. But it was so clear to us that this was a deliberate attack where the victims were targeted precisely because they were Asian women. And there is no doubt in my mind that these shootings were a hate crime. These attacks were so horrific, so obviously motivated by bigotry and hate, that they woke up the entire nation. But as the AAPI community knows all too well, this is a problem that long predated the Atlanta shootings. This xenophobia was inflamed by the words of Donald Trump, with his virulent usage of the terms China virus and Kung flu, despite the fact that the CDC and World Health Organization warned against using such terms, saying that associating a virus with a specific country or ethnic group would only create stigma that would put lives at risk. And that's exactly what happened. There have been over 3,800 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents in just this past year alone. These attacks have become an almost daily tragedy, and there are many in our community wondering, will I be next? That is why we in the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus have been taking action for over a year with press conferences, letters, statements, hearings, and legislation. And fortunately, we've gotten help already from an important partner, President Biden. Within his first week in office, President Biden issued a presidential memorandum to address anti-Asian hate. And just last month, the president invited CAPAC leaders to join him in the Oval Office to discuss additional ways to combat this hate. And that is why it is so significant that just last month, the Senate voted overwhelmingly to pass Senator Mazie Hirono and Representative Grace Meng's COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. This bill would help improve our hate crimes response by creating a new position at the Justice Department to better track hate crime prosecutions. And it also includes the text of my bill, the No Hate Act, which will provide resources to state and local law enforcement to address anti-Asian hate. I'm so proud to say that we'll be sending this bill to President Biden's desk soon. We also know that AAPIs have been devastated by the disproportionate health and economic impact of the coronavirus crisis on communities of color. Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders are continuing to experience the highest COVID-19 infection and mortality rates out of any racial groups in many states. Filipino nurses are just 4% of the total U.S. nursing workforce, but account for nearly 1/3 of the registered nurses in our nation who've died from COVID-19. That's why it was crucial that we pushed for a strong COVID-19 response where AAPIs are included. Indeed, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan does so much to help close the healthcare gaps in our community, and I'm confident that with these measures, we will be able to end this pandemic. This has been one of the most difficult years any of us can remember, but I am optimistic. I am optimistic because finally, we have a president who wants to hear from us and is committed to helping. I'm optimistic because we've seen the elevation of Asian American leaders like Vice President Kamala Harris to the highest offices in our land. And I'm optimistic most of all because of all of you. Through your organizing, advocacy, and support, you've helped the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community rise to new heights in the face of unspeakable adversity. But I know this is just the beginning. Before I close, I want to congratulate all of tonight's awardees, Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta for their incredible civic engagement work in Georgia, Dale Minami for his historic effort to overturn the conviction of Fred Korematsu, and the Philippine Nurses Association, who represent the thousands of Filipino nurses on the front lines of the pandemic. Thank you all for your service to the AAPI community and to everybody. Happy Asian Pacific American Heritage Month.
The surge in hate crimes against Asian Americans only getting worse, and some of the accounts are extremely violent.
Members of Congress are now introducing legislation to combat these anti-Asian hate crimes.
Congressman Ming has introduced new legislation, too, that would help protect the Asian American community.
It includes funding to increase data collection and reporting.
The Senate came together today to overwhelmingly denounce and tackle hate against Asian Americans.
As important as the content and substance of the bill is the message of this bill that we in the Senate are going to stand with our AAPI community and indeed any community that is discriminated against.
We as AAPIs must make sure that we are not only asking people to show up for us, but that we are willing to do the same for them. And that we truly show that our unity is our strength. It is my hope that in building diverse coalitions and showing up for one another, the rights of all Americans, regardless of their race, ethnicity, religion, or language capability, are upheld across our nation.
We are all in this together and we need to be allies.
Yeah. Today's events show just how powerful the Asian and Black communities can be when they come together.
In this last year of us battling the pandemic, we've also battled these other viruses of discrimination against Asian Americans. We stood together publicly and in solidarity to say that Black Lives Matter, because it's going to take all of us.
Thank you so much for having me with you this evening. I am Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, and I'm proud to represent Washington's 7th Congressional District in Congress. I'm thrilled to be co-chairing this APAICS 27th Anniversary Awards Gala with my friend and colleague, Representative Mark Takano. As a proud immigrant and the first South Asian American woman to ever serve in Congress, I'm especially honored to join you all this evening. I'll be honest, it's been a difficult year for all of us, not only because of the dual crises of the pandemic and the economic fallout that it caused, but also due to the rise in anti-Asian hate that we are seeing across the country. This violence and discrimination has touched all of us. It is part of a continued pattern of xenophobia and hate that we have the power to stop. Here in the halls of Congress and on the ground across our communities, we can make a difference. We can say to Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities that we must all be seen and speak up. We can come together with other Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities and unite in calling out anti-Blackness and white supremacy, calling out hate and discrimination of all kinds. And we can come together as our American community, regardless of the color of our skin, and remind ourselves that our country thrives when we all stand together, when we celebrate all that we have in common with our shared humanity. Having partnered with all of you in some of our toughest fights over the last 4 years, I know that APAICS will lead the way. You'll continue to help us organize and deliver change on critical issues like immigration reform, COVID relief, education, and healthcare. And with this president, this Democratic Senate, and this Democratic House, we will again make America the land of opportunity for everyone. The land that welcomed me as a 16-year-old immigrant by myself with nothing in my pockets many decades ago and saw me here to Congress. So congratulations on 27 years, and thank you for all of your dedicated work. I'm so honored to be your partner in standing for justice and opportunity for all.
Hi, I'm Senator Duckworth.
This is Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Linda Sanchez.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Susan Delbene.
Hi, I'm Congressman Jimmy Gomez, and I represent California's 34th Congressional District.
Hello, I'm your Congressman Al Green.
Hi, I'm Congressman Andy Kim.
Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky.
Hi, I'm Congressman Colin Allred.
I'm Congresswoman Catherine Clark.
I'm Congresswoman Katie Porter.
I am Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez.
Hello, I'm Congressman Jerry McNerney.
I'm Congressman Ted Lieu.
I stand with.
And I proudly stand.
I stand with.
I stand with.
That I stand.
I stand with.
I stand with.
I stand
and I stand with the Asian American and the Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities across this country
in their fight against racism and violence.
I will continue to fight
for racial equity,
for communities of color across our country.
Thank you to KPEC Chair Congresswoman Judy Chu and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal for their moving remarks, and to the members of KPEC that are showing solidarity with our community and others in the fight for racial equity. A special thank you to Vice President Kamala Harris for providing her remarks. We are so proud to have a member of the AAPI community as Vice President of the United States. The fight for equity and civil rights is not a new one, and our next award reflects the long road AA and NHPI communities have traveled to be recognized not as other, but as a part of America. While the struggle continues for us along with other communities of color, let's take a look at our Lifetime Achievement Award honoree. Our Lifetime Achievement Award has seen a significant change as we are honored to rename it our Norman Y. Mineta Lifetime Achievement Award in recognition of a true champion and trailblazer, former Secretary Norman Y. Mineta. Secretary Mineta has fought for our community for decades, and there is no better person we could think of to name this award after as we look to celebrate the achievements of a giant in our community. Receiving the inaugural Norman Y. Mineta Award is another champion of our community, Dale Manami. Let's take a look at Dale's accomplishments.
Dale Manami has spent a lifetime as a passionate advocate for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. In 1983, he and his team successfully challenged the constitutionality of the incarceration of Japanese Americans in the Korematsu versus United States landmark Supreme Court case. Additionally, he has fought for AAPI workers and housing rights and for AAPI representation in higher education. He co-founded the Asian Law Caucus, which was the first legal aid and civil rights organization serving low-income Asian Pacific American communities. Dale Manami has devoted his life and career to breaking down barriers and giving voice to those who need it most. It is with great honor that APAICS presents Dale Manami with the Norman Y. Mineta Lifetime Achievement Award.
It's my pleasure to give the inaugural Norman Y. Mineta Award to my very good friend, Dale Manami. Dale has spent his entire career advocating for Asian Americans. In 1983, Dale and his Quorum Novus team successfully challenged the constitutionality of the incarceration of Japanese Americans in the Korematsu Supreme Court case. Other cases that he's worked on include the first class action employment lawsuit brought on by AAPIs on behalf of AAPIs, where Dale defended Filipino Americans. A class action on behalf of AAPIs to establish an Asian American Studies program at Washington State University. And then he worked on a claim for unfair denial of tenure over discrimination in academia. In addition, Dale co-founded the Asian Law Caucus, the first community center interest law firm serving AAPIs, and which to this day has kept up its work to serve low-income AAPIs and the communities it serves. Dale represents the best of our community, and I am so very, very proud to bestow this honor on Dale Manami.
I'm pleased to be a part and join you for this 27th anniversary of the APAICS Gala celebration. In 1975, I gave my first political donation. It was to a charismatic, remarkable candidate for Congress from San Jose. It was $5. I was a poor, struggling lawyer, and that's all I could afford. But I knew that this man was somebody special. And of course, it was Norm Mineta. Over the years, I've watched his trajectory, and I was never so proud than when I saw him on C-SPAN arguing passionately to Congress for redress and reparations for Japanese Americans. And it wasn't a battle just for Japanese Americans. It was a battle for the Constitution itself. And what was remarkable to me was not just the great speech he gave, but the fact that he was a fledgling congressman and his constituency was not Japanese American or Asian American. So he essentially risked his career for taking a stand. And we've seen that over and over, of course. I mean, one example was when he fought for Vietnamese fishermen to lift a ban on their fishing, which was imposed simply racist reasons. And he literally ran across the halls of Congress to file this before the deadline with the clerk. And out of breath, he was able to get this filed, get it passed, and he was able to help this other marginalized group. And of course, we remember the shining moment as Secretary of Transportation when he ordered the planes grounded. But as significantly, he stood up and said to the American public, he declared that discrimination against Muslim and Arab Americans have no place in this country. This was the path that he blazed with inspired commitment, compassion, honesty, integrity, and allowed others now who are Asian Pacific American legislators to start making their mark, and they already have. And they're representing us like Norm represented us before. So I want to thank APAICS because I got this award in the mail last month. And my first thought was that, well, this is beautiful. It's very elegant. My second was that this is where treasonous insurrectionists tried to overthrow our democracy, this very place. And the fragility of democracy is a lesson we should all learn. And finally, I saw that this is the Norman Y. Mineta Lifetime Achievement Award, and my name is below that. And to be associated with Norman Y. Mineta, Norm Mineta, is something really special to me. So thank you to APAICS. Thank you to Madeline Mielke. Thank you for, especially to Norm Mineta, for not just this award, but for all he's done and all his, and thank you.
Good evening. It's an honor to celebrate with you the history and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States. Many thanks to APAICS staff and co-chairs for convening this event and giving me the opportunity to talk with you. As a daughter of a Taiwanese immigrant and also a leader at Facebook, I'm really proud of the work that we're doing to elevate voices from the Asian American community and help stop Asian hate. And since it's always better to show rather than tell, I want to pass the mic to two amazing leaders who are doing just that.
Thanks, Naomi. And hi, everyone. I'm Tammy.
And I'm Michelle. Following the rise in hate crimes against the AAPI community during the pandemic, we founded hateisavirus.org, a community of mobilizers and amplifiers dedicated to dismantling racism and all forms of hate. Our movement began as a social media campaign, but we are now a nonprofit organization creating space for dialogue, education, and amplifying community organizations.
Following the events of this past year, we launched a rapid relief fund to give out grants in response to the needs of our community and have raised over $700,000 to date. We are committed to justice and equality for the AAPI and other communities of color, and thank APAICS for their work and tonight's event.
Welcome to Pacifica Narratives, a series produced by the Pacific Islander Community Association of Washington to highlight the resilience and cultural brilliance of Pacifica peoples here in the Pacific Northwest during COVID and beyond. We come from many nations in Polynesia, Micronesia, and Melanesia, and we have been in these parts for about 200 years. We continue to lift up the traditional stewards of these lands as we work to establish cultural home, center community power, and advance the wellness of Pacifica people here in the U.S. diaspora. Our voice is our liberation.
Our voice is our liberation.
Is our liberation.
Our voice is our liberation.
Our voice is our liberation.
My name is Kiana McKenna. I am in Spokane, Washington, and I am a Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community organizer for our Eastern Washington chapter of PICA. Immediately we did organizing, getting together with community partners and folks so we could make sure that we could provide aid and recovery to our communities that were being hit so hard, at one point making up 60% of our local cases in the county. In Spokane, and I would say across Washington, it's been really meaningful for us to be able to have other Pacific Islanders across the state to work with and to organize with and to build that community power to be able to advocate, to get that platform to advocate for what our people need in different rooms and at different tables that we've traditionally not been at. These events are super cool that we put together because we very much are bringing our different communities together in one spot, in a place that's comfortable, a place that's safe, and we're having fun while we're doing it, but we're making sure that our people are healthy. And we are one Pacifica family that is here to care for one another, to laugh with one another, to cry with one another, and to go through these hard times together. And having that warmth and that security and that level of community is so amazing. And I would say that PICA has definitely given me the cultural home that I have been missing while I have been in Spokane here all my life.
Hi, we're Run River North. My name is Alex.
And I'm Sally. Being in a band in Los Angeles for the last 10 years and being all Korean American, we've definitely seen a rise in representation, either through our friends who are fellow artists like Jennifer Chung or Crossed Out, or even artists that we support from afar like Japanese Breakfast or Monsoon.
And the way that we rise to the challenges as a collective community, we've been more vocal, we've been owning our stories, and we've just enjoyed the process more. Asian American music is super young, and we don't really have many shoulders to stand on, but we hope that this continues to make more space for others to uplift and be inspired to create and share their own stories.
Words I'm Congressman Mark Takano, and I represent California's 41st Congressional District. As second vice chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus and co-chair of this year's APAICS virtual gala, I'm honored to be joining you here. Over the last year, our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities have faced remarkable adversity due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the rise in hate we're seeing across the country. Since the start of this pandemic, former President Donald Trump weaponized the virus and referred to it repeatedly as the China virus, and many of his Republican allies followed suit. This racist rhetoric made our communities the target of hate, discrimination, and violence. Now, more than 1 year later, hate crimes against Asian Americans have surged. Not only have we had to endure ignorance and hate, but also the economic and physical strains of COVID-19. Too many of us have experienced loss, fear, and pain during this dark time. Yet, despite these hardships, we are still standing together and supporting one another. By uniting as one and speaking truth to power, our collective voices have called out racists, fearmongers, and demanded justice for our community, and America's leaders are finally paying attention. In Congress, my colleagues and I are raising awareness about these ongoing crises and pushing for bold legislation to address them. Just last month, Representative Grace Meng and Senator Mazie Hirono introduced the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, a bill that I also co-sponsored to support the AAPI community and to ensure that all hate crimes are addressed and reported, and to ensure that perpetrators are held accountable. This important legislation passed in the Senate with overwhelming bipartisan support, and President Biden expressed his strong support for this bill. We are all united in our efforts to stop anti-Asian hate. I know firsthand how important it is that our community and allies stand up strongly against anti-Asian xenophobia and hate. We need our leaders not only to recognize and acknowledge the suffering that our community is facing, but demand accountability and justice. Although there is still so much more work to be done, I am amazed by the pride and resiliency of the AAPI community. Despite the challenges, community organizations, activists, friends, and neighbors mobilized to support one another, served on the front lines of the fight against COVID, and pushed for justice for AAPI lives. That just goes to show how honorable, loyal, and resilient our community can be. As we turn the page on this dark chapter and look into the future with hope and optimism, we cannot forget to honor the lives of those who have been taken from us far too soon by hateful violence or the virus. Please join me in remembering those in our community that we've lost.
Since its founding over 40 years ago, the Philippine Nurses Association of America has worked to advocate for Filipino nurses in the United States. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this work has never been more critical, as frontline Filipino nurses have been hit the hardest, accounting for almost a third of nurse COVID deaths, even though they represent just 4% of the nursing workforce. The PNAA has worked tirelessly for these frontline heroes, advocating for safer working conditions and greater public education and awareness, during a time when AAPI healthcare workers battle both hate crimes and distrust of healthcare professionals. And so we are proud to present the APAICS Community Award to the Philippine Nurses Association of America.
Despite all of the challenges our communities have faced in 2021, I'm glad we can dedicate this time and share this moment to celebrate the contributions made for the betterment of the AA NHPIs and the protection of our loved ones, with frontline healthcare workers standing at the helm of our resilience and recovery. Today, I'm proud to award the Philippine Nurses Association of America APAICS Community Engagement Award. PNAA was organized in 1979 to advocate for Filipino nurses who immigrated to this country and found difficulties in passing the examination boards for registered nurses and adjusting to a new way of life in America. From removing barriers in healthcare and in the healthcare environment and to educating the public with their COVID-19 Project First Line webinars, PNAA has been pioneering nurse leaders and advocates all throughout the United States. Please join me in congratulating PNAA for their work before and throughout the pandemic and for rising to the challenge. Congratulations.
On behalf of the Philippine Nurses Association of America, I am extremely honored to accept this community award for the Filipino American nurses. I am grateful for the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies under the leadership of Madeline Milkey for this award. The COVID-19 pandemic showed the importance of the healthcare industry and the courageous work of our healthcare professionals. Most importantly, it highlighted the disparities in healthcare, the system gaps in our supply chain, and the need to invest in research. The veracity of COVID-19 tested the resilience of the healthcare workforce, particularly our nurses. Unlike the superheroes, nurses did not have the superpower to be immortal. Filipino American nurses were disproportionately affected by this pandemic, with over 30% of COVID-19 deaths coming from our community. Even though we only represent 4% of the nursing workforce, nurses were vulnerable, and many shared their feelings of fear, anxiety, guilt, frustration, anger, and helplessness. At the same time, we lean in on our duty as professionals to stay calm and courageous during this unprecedented crisis. We recognize that our patients are vulnerable, feeling alone, and we became their family during their last breath. We treated our patients equally with care and compassion, regardless of race, religion, or gender. We are living in precarious times, and it is heartbreaking to hear anti-Asian sentiments and the hate crimes against our fellow AAPI, especially our lolos and lolas. These senseless crimes add more stress, mistrust, and fear, leading to an increased psychosocial and mental health issues in our AAPI community, on top of our overburdened healthcare system. While we continue to promote vaccine trust and encourage our families and friends to get vaccinated, my hope is we can come closer in addressing system and structural barriers and the issues with social determinants of health that put our AAPI at a disadvantage. Perhaps it is a dream, but I know that we build our dreams upon the shoulders of AAPI advocates and our Asian Pacific American leaders who came before us, but most importantly, those that are present today or listening in other parts of the country. PNAA knows that it will take a village to fight this virus. Nurses, healthcare workers, and essential workers cannot do this alone. With the support of many organizations like yours, we hope that we can overcome the pandemic and help us closer to a better new normal. This award symbolizes our hope in the capital, where legislations shape how we deliver care for our community and how we practice our profession safely and competently. It is through dialogues and forums with our government leaders on how grants shape nurses' education and how we conduct research in underserved community. It is through our narratives and stories that we can influence policies that protect our patients' rights and remove systemic and structural barriers in achieving our full health potential. Let us demystify the model minority myth and let us aim towards a model of health justice. On behalf of our Filipino-American nurses and my organization, thank you so much for this award. Maraming salamat. We would like to wish everyone an AAPI Heritage Month. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard, representing California's 40th Congressional District.
This is Congressman Stephen Horsford from Nevada's 4th District.
This is Congressman Ami Bera.
Hi, this is Congressman Juan Vargas. I proudly represent California's 51st District.
This is Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman of New Jersey's 12th District.
This is Senator Jackie Rosen from Nevada.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from Queens, New York.
I'm Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher from Texas's 7th Congressional District.
It's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th District.
This is Congressman Mark Takano.
I'm Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you to our frontline workers and professionals, medical workers, for their hard work and sacrifice.
Thank you to the frontline workers and medical professionals for their hard work and sacrifice.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals for their hard work and sacrifice.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals.
Thank you for all that you've done to keep us healthy and safe.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you to our frontline workers and medical professionals for their hard work and sacrifice. This country could not have made it through this last year without you.
We still have between 200 and 300,000 new cases a day, with anywhere between 1.5 to 2,500 deaths per day. So we are in a surge that's rather steep when you look at the inflection of it.
We will defeat this pandemic. And to a nation waiting for action, let me be the clearest on this point. Help is on the way.
You're going to have to get the vaccines out to various healthcare facilities. We will probably have gotten through the healthcare workers and the people in long-term care facilities, but then there's the rest.
They say help is on the way. This is one of the largest largest relief packages since the Great Depression.
The president expected to sign it tomorrow. Stimulus checks rolling out as soon as next week.
In my first week in office, I signed an executive order directing federal agencies to combat this resurgence of xenophobia. The Department of Justice is strengthening its partnership with the AAPI community to prevent these crimes. In addition, I'm calling on Congress to pass and get to my desk the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act.
President Biden looks to boost weekly vaccine distribution by 16%. The administration says it's on the brink of securing enough doses to have 300 million Americans, that is 90% of the population, vaccinated by the end of summer.
Tonight, the COVID pandemic and new signs of hope as we head towards summer. The CDC projecting a sharp decline in cases by July.
New models show infections, hospitalizations, and deaths all plummeting if Americans continue to get vaccinated and take precautions.
There's still more work to do to beat this virus. We can't let our guard down. But tonight, I can say, because of you, the American people, our progress these past 100 days against one of the worst pandemics in history has been one of the greatest logistical achievements this country's ever seen. To everyone at APAICS, thank you. Thank you for embodying the simple truth that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that our diversity is our strength as a nation. That's what I see in you, in a growing number of Asian American, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, advocates and elected officials all across the country. It's what I see in this year's honorees, especially the Filipino Nurses Association of America, whose members have sacrificed so much during this pandemic. And in a year of profound loss and pain, of hate and violence, I've seen your strength to meet the moment with courage, compassion, and conviction, to imagine the possibilities that lie ahead of us. From beating this pandemic, to rebuilding our economy, to standing up against hate crimes and advancing racial equity, these are the hard jobs, the hard work that's ahead. But we're going to do it together. As we mark Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and this important gathering, let's also continue to reach for what makes us who we are as fellow Americans and the United States of America.
Thank you, President Biden, for your participation. APAICS appreciates your support of the AA and NHPI community during this critically important time. As I mentioned earlier, it has been a challenging year, and yet I hope you were inspired by all of the honorees who have tirelessly worked to uplift our communities. Congratulations to all of them. To all of APAICS sponsors, especially to those who hosted this event, we appreciate your support of APAICS's work. I'm grateful for the leadership of the APAICS board, especially board chair Susan Jin Davis. This work would not be possible without the APAICS staff and consultants who dedicate so much of themselves in bringing APAICS's mission to our community. Let's give them a round of applause. I also would like to highlight KPEC Executive Director Crystal Kai and Congresswoman Judy Chu's team, led by Sonali Desai, for all of their partnership and advocating for the AAPI community. And thanks to all of you for joining us for tonight's program. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for more fun with the APAICS family, stop by our post-event party at kumospace.com/APAICS. That's KUMOSPACE.com/APAICS, where there will be karaoke, a movie screening, and networking opportunities. See you all over on Kumo Space, and thanks again.